There is this tendency every time Donald Trump or the Republican Party do something grotesque or corrupt or cruel or spectacularly incompetent to react as though this is a shocking development. Ooh, I can't believe they'd, how did they do this? Well, yeah, we can believe it. First of all, most of the stuff they're doing, they told us they would do. Most of the things Trump is doing, he said that he was going to do. They told us who they were, and tens of millions of people voted for it anyway. Trump didn't sneak into American politics disguised as a sober and ethical public servant. He was a compulsive liar from day one. He was a shameless con man from day one. He was a malignant narcissist from day one. And he's a guy whose understanding of government goes only as far as what would be good for me personally. That's all that he cares about. Republican officials looked at that and they made a choice. And some enthusiastically embraced him. Others privately said, he is dangerous and unfit and contemptible, but I'm going to support him publicly because I'm scared that he's going to come out against me, or because I want his tax cuts, or I want to get a judge in there, or I would like to get a TV appearance, or just even being protected from my primary challenger. These were decisions that were made. It wasn't like they fell into it by accident. So then the corruption arrives. Trump replaces qualified people with loyalists, and he makes cruelty the policy of the government. And democratic institutions become mere obstacles rather than checks and balances. You blame every failure on an immigrant or a Democrat or a minority or a communist or an anarchist or whatever. And then people go, I'm shocked that he's doing this. Why are you shocked? This was the platform. And the strongest counter argument is many voters were not explicitly voting for corruption or authoritarianism. They simply said, inflation has to be dealt with. Let's try Trump. Immigration has to be dealt with. Let's try Trump. Or it was about cultural resentment or abortion or taxes or whatever else the case may be. And that could certainly be true in a lot of individual cases. There were people who maybe weren't thrilled with Trump, but they really didn't like Hillary, or they really didn't like Kamala Harris. But if you are an adult and you believe in personal responsibility, you have to be held responsible for what are the foreseeable consequences of your choices. If you hire an arsonist knowing he's an arsonist because you like his position on property taxes, you can't go, oh, I'm shocked that he burned a building down. Your preferred justification for why you supported this guy doesn't erase all the warnings and evidence and the results that we get. The warnings were everywhere. He tried to overturn an election he lost. He praised political violence. He caused political violence. He demanded personal loyalty from public officials and surrounded himself with this cadre of criminals and conspiracy theorists and extremists and opportunists, and described the presidency as an instrument of revenge. I will be your retribution. Dear God, what about doing something on affordability? No, I will be your retribution. And what Republican politicians did, and it trickled down to a lot of the voters, is excuse him or protect him or go, it's just bluster, or submit to him and make submission to Trump a condition of remaining in the party. And then voters said, let's give these people power. The depressing reality is that democratic systems don't automatically produce decent outcomes. And if you go back to, Socrates' critique of democracy, it is true. The democratic systems produce outcomes based on the choices people make. And if you can convince enough voters to make a choice to reward being a liar, being cruel, being corrupt, being a grifter, then all of a sudden, that is what you get. The politicians become worse because being worse worked. Now, that doesn't mean that we give up. We just have to be honest about what happened. The country was not deceived by a carefully hidden agenda. Trump didn't run on one set of ideas and then govern in a completely different way. Trump screamed out the agenda at rallies, and he repeated it in interviews, and he posted it online, and he demonstrated it. And Americans were shown, listen, here's a degenerate. Here's a bunch of degenerates. You can vote for him. Here it is in high definition. It's not blurry. And they said, yeah, we're going to vote for that. So we've got to condemn every abuse. We have to resist every illegal act. We have to document every lie and prepare ourselves to be back in power and hold these people accountable. But spare me the surprise, okay? You voted for overt degenerates. What did you expect was going to happen? Now, this doesn't mean, and I've talked about this before as well, and it's worth mentioning, this doesn't mean that when people change their minds, we go, you are never allowed back. No, we go, hey, better late than never. You're welcome to come back and join the people trying to think a little more clearly about who should be leading us. But we're not going to pretend that this wasn't predictable, because we all predicted it. It's not pat ourselves on the back. We were smart enough to see it. No, it was so damn obvious, but somehow tens of millions of people, either because of personal loyalty, a desire for revenge, hating Democrats, whatever, they went for it. So once you make the 180 and you realize you were screwed, I get emails from people going, David, I'm a Republican, but I can't support this. But I did for 2 or 3 elections. It's great that you're figuring it out, but we're not going to pretend that it was unknowable that when you elect degenerates, degeneracy is the outcome. We all expected it. And we've got to deal with the fact that tens of millions of people said, this is what I want. On the bonus show today, they thought I was Macaulay Culkin. I'm not kidding. I'm going to tell you probably the wackiest story from my LA trip. They believed I was Macaulay Culkin, and it created a whole hubbub. I'll also tell you what else I was up to, upcoming interviews I'm going to be doing, and so much more on today's bonus show. How do you access the bonus show? It's very easy, quite frankly. Simply sign up at joinpakman.com. That is it. I'll see you on the bonus show. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.